Dawson. I'm the patrol leader of Trailblazers from Eagle Grove, Iowa, Troop 1059G. This is my version of the masks, and I have talked to quite a few people and I've watched some videos on how to make them. What you need is 100% cotton fabric, a non-woven interfacing fabric that goes on the in between them, and binding tape for the strings, or you can use elastic, pins, some sort of like metal to go in between the nose. I'm using paper clips, but you can also use pipe cleaners as what other people have been using. And then you need a measuring tape and a ruler, scissors or a fabric cutter, an iron of some sort. I'm using the small one, but you can use a big normal size one, doesn't really matter. And then of course your sewing machine. And these are some of the fabrics I've picked out. There's ladybugs, there's Hawkeyes, there's the cat in the hat one people have liked, and then Snoopy, I forgot what they are, and the marbles. And this is the interfacing that goes in between. You kind of just cut out a square of that. And then for the printout, the pattern, you can print one offline. I have one that I can put on that is going to be linked, but you could also just cut out a square of printer paper that is a 10x7 or whatever size of mask you need. These are the finished masks. Mark's gonna put them on for you guys. There's that one. That is the 10x7 one.
So this is the inside, right where the stitches are. So those are gonna be the insides. The outsides are like the cover-ups, and the top is gonna be right where that clothespin, the paper clip is. So right there, push on, cover your mouth, go one string.
You have that messed up, Mark. You're tying the bottom and the top.
Oops. The second one goes right over the stitch. Okay, so this part is going to be the inside, and you're going to tie the bottom one, neck, and then you're going to put this right over. And you're going to feel that paper clip right there. So you're just going to push on. Tie it. There we go.
You have to pull it.
Oh, and then you gotta pull this down. And they're all covered.
So I've already pre-cut out the interfacing fabric for the 10x7 square. And then I cut out a smaller piece of the cat in a hat one, and to measure it out, I went this way for it, and then I'm cutting it the 10 inches on the side. And you can put that stuff to the side. And then when you have them cut out, if they're not ironed completely all the way, you can iron them, and then you put the good side facing up on one piece and then the good sides together. And you lay them flat. Then you put the inner facing on top, and then you square up the sides. And you trim out the inner facing and the fabric so they're nice and straight. And then you do that to all four sides. So when you sew, you don't have all these pieces that are in the way because they're not square. You can do this with scissors, normal scissors as well. It doesn't really make a difference. If you're doing them with scissors, I'd recommend pinning it. So it doesn't move around. And then, so when you get it to this part, you are going to sew now. You are sewing the top of the thing, which would be the 10-inch if you're using the 10x7 pattern. So you can pin this. If you were to pin it, you pin one here, here, and here, or as many as you need to hold it in place. But when you start doing it as many times, you don't need them as much because you kind of just get back in the way. So you need a forward and backward stitch on both the start and the end. And then I like to trim the strings as I go, but you don't have to. Then you are going to open this up and iron it to one side, and then you make it to the point where it's like this. So it's easier to put the paper clip in to it. And this is the metal that I'm using for the nose piece. You just straighten up. So you're just straightening out the paper clip to this point, and then you're just going to cut off this part because you don't need that long of a paper clip. And then you're finding the middle of your masks and you're opening them up. And you put it in right here at the fold. And then you push it right up to the edge of the seam. And you make sure that it's in the middle. Mine wasn't directly in the middle yet. And then you find the end of your paper clip and you butt that up right against the foot. Do not run over the paper clip because you'll break needles. And then you forward and backward stitch on this too. And then you pivot, which is just lifting up that while your needle's down. And then you're just encasing the paper clip in the mask. They get to the end, and you make sure that you're not going to run over the paper clip, so you pivot. And then you forward and backward stitch. And then cut off the strings. When you get to this point, you have to switch it back to here and sew across that line, but I already have one of those done. That's not one of the ones that are done. This one's done. This is one of the shorter ones, but it doesn't really matter. So this one, you're gonna start doing the folds, which are 1.5 centimeters apart. So you can do a pencil or whatever one you want. So you start, I give it the 3 centimeters on the top, and then I start doing 1.5 centimeters, and you keep going till you get to 9, I believe, of these. So I'd mark at 6, and then 6, 7.5. And once you do these a lot more, you don't have to mark them, because me doing as many as I have, I don't need to mark them every time. Okay, and then I do one side at a time, so I don't have that crookedness on both sides. And then this is where you pin it. There should be 3 pins in there's 3 folds. And then you go to the other side and do the same exact thing. You kind of just pull it straight across. You do that all the way down until you get something that looks like this. And then when you get to this part, you have them pinned with all of those done. You press them down, the things. When you're done pressing them so they're nice and flat, you take your binding tape and you measure 36 inches for both sides. So I got to 36. And since I'm doing both sides, I go down to here and cut it. And then I go back up to the middle and cut it. So they're even. You put that aside, and then your stuff aside. For the binding tape, you're going to find the middle of the binding tape and then find the middle of your mask, which is normally this second fold. Then you open up the binding tape and you pin the middle of the mask to your fold. So the fold is on the inside and there's a piece of fabric on both sides of the mask. And you pin it to the mask. You do one side first so it doesn't get stuck in the machine when you're doing one side. And you have to make sure you got all the fabric in between the binding tape, because otherwise you'll have to re-sew it. So the binding tape, you take this part, the top, and you just go right along this side, and you have to forward and back stitch at the start. And you sew all the way on one side. You can start taking pins out whenever you need them, don't run them over. And back stitch. And you cut the strings, and then you would repeat on the other side to make the finished product. And when you get to the finished product, you just iron out the whole entire thing. Right in mark for the masts. So that's what that half looks like. You repeat this on the other side. You do the same exact thing. When you get done, you get to this, and you would just press it down, and then you pat yourself on the back because you made a difference. If you have any questions, you can reach the Scoutmaster. His name is Rick Dawson of Eagle Grove and the Winnebago Council.